You know, even though the pond isn't finished, I'm behind on a bunch of projects. The gallery is an absolute mess. Like, it's destroyed. None of this matters right now because we have fish to unbox. Not one, but 2 boxes of fish. You see, in one box, we have the fish for the pond. In the second box, some secret fish. A little bit of a confession before we begin. The secret fish I'm not showing you today. I don't know which one is in which box, but I'm going to show you in the near future. I will say this, I've been searching for this fish for years, probably over 10 years. I've been in love with them forever, never seen them in person, but have always wanted them. They're a seasonal fish, not that cheap, and extremely difficult to find, believe it or not. For me anyways. More on that in a future video. Probably gonna end up being my fave aquarium, I'm just gonna say that. Don't look in the background of these videos. Everything's a mess. Oh, I don't know which one these are. Nothing's labeled on the outside. I know what these are. Let me check the other box to make sure. Some didn't get put over here either. Oh! Oh, they are everything I thought they would be. Wait till you see that. Oh. Okay. Aw. I love it. Okay. Well, these guys are going to be uneventful now. So I had talked about in the last video, giving you guys some hints, and so many of you actually guessed correctly. But I said, ooh, these guys aren't looking too active. I said I wanted to get a predator fish. Hard hitting, aggressive feeder, hits the surface hard, fun to feed, fun to observe from above, and just is an all-around awesome fish. I've had these before. Problem was, I only had a couple of them. I was going to put them in, or a few of them, like 3 I think it was. I was going to put them in the 2000. Plans for the 2000 changed, so I rehomed them. Now we're coming back for them. Some of you might know what I'm getting. We are getting into peacock bass. Specifically, we've got some Temensis. These guys are beautiful peacock bass. They're going to get quite big, grow quite quickly, and are absolute beasts. We got 5 of these. I'm going to start floating them in their new gigantic pond. And then we got, so those were Temensis. These are Paquiti, or however you pronounce that. Check these guys out. Ooh-wee. I know they don't look like much right now, but these guys are a really good size. Very active and going to eat no problem. We have a problem with this pond though. One, it doesn't have a filtration unit on it yet. Not that big of a deal. I'm going to be able to actually go ahead and run this tank with just 2,000 or 1,200 gallons of water in it, plenty of dilution for these tiny little fish. We've got 12 in total, of course. Always kind of try to buy extra just in case there's some DOAs or gives me better selection down the road. Long term, I'll probably only keep 6 in here and keep the best of the 12 because, like I said, these guys get massive. But I also need to add the light on today and build the lid system or the cover. But for now, we're going to float them, then add them to the tank. We'll get some underwater footage. We'll take a look at all of these guys here closely in a minute. Quick side note about the Temensis. It might not actually be Temensis. You see, where these guys are actually collected, there's about 5 species of bass caught there. And at this size, they a lot of them just look the same. We think they're Temensis, but could end up being something else, so this is kind of like a little surprise bag down the future. since these guys have been in the shipping bag for so long, as always, what we're gonna do, first and foremost, is I temperature acclimated them. Make sure that the temperature in the bag is the same as the aquarium. I'm not letting any air in. Next thing I'm going to do is dump them directly into the net. I don't want cross-contamination of this water into my aquarium water. Just like so. There you go. You're free now. Now the Paquiti, I think this is them. It is not. I think this is them. Yeah, so not only do we not want that cross-contamination, ooh, there's lots of these guys in there, but I've talked about this time and time again when adding fish to the aquariums here. We talk about the actual chemical process that happens inside the shipping bag as your fish are on their way to you. You see, as the fish are in the bag, they're producing ammonia, breathing, creating waste, and of course we all know that ammonia is deadly to your fish. In a tiny space like this, or a small amount of water, that's going to be even worse. However, they're also consuming the oxygen in the bag. That's why it doesn't feel as full as it probably did once shipped. When oxygen levels deplete in the water column, the pH of the water also drops with it. At acidic levels below 7, which is neutral, ammonia is no longer as toxic. However, once we crack this bag open, what's going to happen? It's going to become oxygenated again, and the pH is going to shoot up, and that ammonia is going to become immediately toxic to them. So this is why I do it this way. Temperature acclimate, I don't cross-contaminate the water, and of course, we get them out of this bag as soon as possible. This works great for freshwater fish. Of course, these guys have only been in the bag for maybe 12 hours, 16 hours, something like that. So there will be 7 in this one. Aren't they pretty? Already have some pretty amazing coloration on them. More body markings than anything, but these guys look fantastic. And off they go. Come on, you guys are free now too. Okay, so last night I did a number of things to prepare the tank. Of course, I'm a little bit behind on getting all this all done. To tide me over until I add on the filter, which is going to be later today, I added in a very large air stone. When you need the big stones, you look for pond supplies and whatnot. This is going to help aerate the water, agitate the surface, and aid in oxygen exchange. The bubbles simply rise too fast to dissolve to actually add oxygen directly to the water, and many people believe that's what's adding the oxygen, but that's not the case. As the water surface agitates, it's technically creating an even greater surface area for that gas exchange. Carbon dioxide and oxygen will exchange at that surface, and depending on the temperature of the water will depict how much oxygen the water can actually contain. Next thing we did was I started to get the pump as well as some plumbing supplies ready. I already had a bunch of PVC on hand, so I created a bit of an input. This one's quite large. It's 2-inch PVC pipe. I'm going to switch it to black. This is all I have. It's going to be easy to switch it over just to get things up and going so we can move on. However, as you can see, I just drilled a bunch of holes in the bottom here with a simple drill bit. And this will hang on the side over there when we hook up the canister, which I'm going to show you here in a moment. For the output, same idea. This is a Frankenstein output. A bunch of spare supplies. I've already kind of cemented it together. 2 inches in, and then goes down to, what is this? 1.5 inch on the output. This is going to allow me to create more of a jetting effect to distribute the water throughout this tank because it's quite large. Of course, I never cement the bottoms, so I'm able to twist them and keep them in a direction. This will be underwater anyway. The only things that I do cement are the ones above water. Again, that could hang on the side just like this. And of course, certainly we need to switch this to black for it to blend in, but just to give you a basic idea, when I do switch to black, this is probably what it's going to look like. As for the pump, I actually increased the output and input size. The output tends to take a 1.5 inch. I increased this to 2 inch with just a reducer. And then of course, on the input, I did the same thing. Sorry. Input, output. So on the input, increased it to 2 inches. Output, increased it to 2 inches as well. I did this to match the plumbing. However, on this note, we need to talk about something very important when adjusting the size of your plumbing to your pump. It's okay to increase the size of your output. Never decrease the size of your input. This can cause cavitation in the pump, as well as damage it permanently. So always go with at least what it says it can handle. So if it says it's a 1.5 inch input, you use 1.5 inch plumbing, or you can go slightly bigger. That's not going to cause a problem, but never go smaller. On the other side, hopefully you guys will be able to see this, but we got the controllers hooked up. You've seen this earlier where I had to drill into the side to add in the Ecotech MP60 wave maker. We got a couple of battery backups. One's going to power the pump, one's going to power the wave maker. So if power goes out, I'm good for like 12 hours or so, even though I actually have the ability to take this entire building offline and put it on a generator. Now I do need to pick up a couple more plumbing supplies for the actual filter, which is the canister filter that is on the 2,000 gallon aquarium right now, already cycled. I just have to buy some more couplings and unions, and we're gonna be fine. I can move this over, completely cycled, ready to rock and roll. Essentially right now, it's like having the bass inside of a large holding tank with plenty of dilution, over 1,000 gallons. They're completely fine, but of course we wanna get the filter on as soon as possible. With that said, check this out. Check out the back of the 375. I forgot I had this 8-foot long banner of my logo that I use sometimes, so I just tossed it on the back here. Gives it a black effect, plus got my logo there. I thought that was kind of cool. I was just testing it out. Let me know what you guys think of that though. While I was at the hardware store though, I found that they had a bunch of fake rock panels. Well, technically they were siding panels for a home. You know, the type like they're made of plastic and they're very thin, but it looks like a rock effect. They're on sale and I've seen some. They're all out right now, but they can get more in. What I'm getting at is I'm thinking about getting them and covering the entire pond with them and then doing the entire cement or the 2,000 gallon aquarium with that as well. I think that would look pretty cool, especially if we go with like a gray rock, which would fit the theme in here. Let me know your thoughts on that. They're on sale, but they're still pretty expensive. I gotta make sure it's what we wanna do. So again, let me know in the comment section below what you think. If you think the brick stone type look would look awesome, I'll make them match. Being a pond though, the number one thing we're gonna combat is evaporation and humidity. And even though we have an air exchanger that's constantly refreshing the air in here, as well as a heat pump that also removes humidity, as well as a large dehumidifier, it's not going to be able to battle 49 square feet of open water area that's constantly gassing off and evaporating. So we need to cover it when we're not filming it and when we're not enjoying the tank. You guys know what I'm doing. I took a couple of 2x1s, drilled them into the tank here, created like lips, so you can see this. So we have it here, but not over here. And what we're going to do is take these greenhouse panels like I showed you before, right on those channels we created. I like to have it up on the lip here. This is gonna stop humidity, it's gonna stop evaporation, and of course it's going to stop these bass from jumping when they become these monstrous adults that are heavy hitting feeders that are going to splash and make a complete mess. On that note, this tank or this pond or this wooden container of water is kind of depressing right now. Two reasons really. Small fish in a big pond. That's difficult to see. It's gonna take time before it's actually going to be the pond that I'm dreaming of and excited about. It's gonna take months before they get to a reputable size, so to speak. Second thing is small fish in a big pond. It's gonna be difficult to feed them. You see, a lot of the times we do grow out tanks. These are smaller tanks with fish to get them to a certain size. We can target feed them, do bigger water changes, etc. It just grows them out faster. We'll see what happens in here. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm sure we'll handle it. Ultimately, though, I got a bit of work ahead of me tonight. I really want to finish this up, and there's a few other things I want to move on to. Let me know your thoughts so far. I know that it might be disappointing right now, but with everything I do, it usually is until I finish it or it becomes what I'm explaining it will be one day. We also need to reveal the secret fish that I am absolutely thrilled about. I can see them, and you guys will here shortly. If you're excited about them, make sure you're subscribed if you're not already.